film begins by showing 7 years before the incident. She was still living happily with her husband, Chris, and their daughter, Carly. After attending a cookie sale event, Riley and Carly cross paths with a mother named Peg, who starts making an issue out of their parking space. Peg hurls harsh and demeaning words at them. Carly, who is upset, wants to retaliate, but Riley teaches her daughter not to counter hatred with hatred. According to Riley, violence only makes things worse and never truly solves problems. Not long after, Riley leaves Carly with Chris because she has to return to work. Before leaving, she asks Chris to make sure Carly's birthday party runs smoothly. Riley herself works at a bank and hopes to get home on time to celebrate her daughter's special day. However, at her workplace, her boss forces her to work overtime because several employees failed to show up. Even though Riley repeatedly explains that it is Carly's birthday, her boss remains completely indifferent. On the other hand, Chris is facing business troubles. His partner, Mickey, offers him a higher risk deal. Mickey promises huge profits that could change their family's life for the better. Chris is tempted because he wants to provide a more comfortable future for Riley and Carly, but without realizing it, that decision will instead bring disaster. When Riley finally gets home, she finds Carly's birthday party in shambles. Not a single one of Carly's friends showed up because almost all the children attended a party elsewhere that Peg had intentionally thrown at the exact same time. Carly naturally feels sad and disappointed. Seeing her daughter lose her spirit, Riley tries to cheer her up. She invites Carly and Chris to go to a Christmas carnival so that her birthday remains a pleasant memory. Carly instantly regains her enthusiasm. Chris also promises that everything will get better. For a moment, they look like a happy family, enjoying an evening together again. However, unbeknownst to them, someone is watching from a distance. A gang member named Cortez secretly follows Chris and reports his whereabouts to a highly powerful drug cartel boss named Diego Garcia. As it turns out, Garcia has found out that Chris was once involved in a plan related to money from his drug trafficking business. Even though Chris ultimately called off the plan, Garcia still views him as a threat. For Garcia, anyone who dares to touch his business must be punished to serve as an example to others. Because of this, he orders the assassination of Chris and his entire family. While Riley, Chris, and Carly are enjoying the festive carnival atmosphere, several hitmen arrive at the location without warning. They immediately open fire at the family, and the attack happens so fast that there is no chance to escape. Chris and Carly are killed on the spot. Meanwhile, Riley, who has been hit by several bullets, still tries to crawl toward her daughter. With her body covered in wounds and blood, she cradles the lifeless Carly while weeping hysterically. The world she has built all this time collapses in just a matter of seconds. Shortly after, an ambulance and the police arrive at the scene. Riley is rushed to the hospital in critical condition. At the scene, Detective Carmichael and his partner, Detective Moises, begin investigating the case. Even Carmichael, who has frequently seen various criminal cases, feels deep pity upon seeing the small body of Carly, who fell victim to the killer's brutality. A month later, Riley finally wakes up from her coma at the hospital. Carmichael immediately visits her and explains that the police have apprehended the suspects of the shooting. However, he also warns her that the suspects could walk free if Riley is unwilling to give her testimony and identify them in person. At the same time, Riley learns a shocking fact regarding her family's death. It turns out Chris became a target because he was once involved in a plan to steal money belonging to Diego Garcia. Although the plan was never carried out, word of it had already reached Garcia's ears. To maintain his reputation and power, Garcia ordered the hit as a warning to anyone who dares oppose him. Heartbroken, Riley looks back at old photos of herself with Chris and Carly. The beautiful memories that used to make her happy now only add to an immense sense of loss. Nonetheless, she is determined to help the investigation and remember the faces of the killers. Riley is then brought in for a suspect lineup. She successfully identifies the men who attacked her family that night. However, behind the scenes, the situation is far more complicated than she imagines. Moises reveals to Carmichael that a police officer who once tried to dismantle Diego Garcia's network suddenly vanished without a trace. That fact demonstrates just how vast Garcia's influence is, stretching even into law enforcement institutions. Realizing the looming danger, several people begin to distance themselves from the case. Meanwhile, Riley's life continues to take a turn for the worse. She receives an eviction notice from her home and begins packing the remaining belongings. Amid her grief, she keeps staring at photos of Carly, trying to hold on to the last memories of her daughter. Shortly after, a lawyer named Henderson approaches her. Henderson actually works for the party that wants to protect the perpetrators. He offers a sum of money to Riley so that she will drop the legal process. When Riley refuses, Henderson begins to attack her credibility, by bringing up the antiseptic medications she had consumed. He attempts to build a narrative that Riley's testimony cannot be trusted due to her mental state. When the trial takes place, Henderson's strategy successfully influences the course of the case. He continuously pressures Riley with questions regarding her medication and psychological condition. Gradually, the court's attention shifts from the killers to Riley's own condition. Worse yet, the prosecutor, who is supposed to fight for justice, appears half-hearted and acts as if he does not want to oppose the other side. Riley feels completely alone, facing a system that is supposed to protect her. In the end, the judge rules in favor of the defendants. The people who killed her husband and daughter are now finally released. To Riley, that decision feels like a second murder of her family. Filled with rage and despair, Riley protests the decision in the courtroom. She screams that the legal system has failed to deliver justice. But before she can do anything, an officer tasers her, causing her to fall helpless. Following the incident, Riley is declared mentally unstable and placed in a mental health program. It is at this exact point that Riley's trust in the law is completely shattered. She has not only lost her family, but also lost faith that anyone will punish those responsible for the tragedy. Ultimately, Riley rebels and manages to vanish from the police pursuit. Years later, an investigator named Lisa contacts Carmichael and Moises to inform them that before disappearing, Riley had stolen a sum of money from the bank where she used to work. They begin to suspect that Riley might be involved in various murders that have taken place and believe that for the past few years, she has been living in hiding without being detected. However, unbeknownst to them, Riley is actually preparing a revenge plan against everyone responsible for the death of her family. She even intends to settle everything precisely on the anniversary of the tragedy. Meanwhile, Riley infiltrates Judge Stephen's house and takes him hostage. She nails both of the judge's hands to the table and forces him to remember the case that once ruined her life. Riley exposes various acts of corruption that Stephen had been committing all this time. After that, she takes a toy from a display in the house and leaves the place. Shortly after, Riley boards a bus and presses a bomb detonator, as the bomb had been planted in Judge Stephen's house beforehand, killing him instantly. Carmichael quickly finds out about the action and discovers the fact that Riley had also previously killed the lawyer, Henderson, and threatened the district attorney the night before. Elsewhere, Diego Garcia, the drug network boss responsible for the death of Riley's family, learned that Riley has killed the lawyers involved in her case. In retaliation, Garcia orders Cortez to put a bounty on Riley's head and ensure the woman is eliminated. At the same time, Garcia also begins to face pressure from his rival Cartel because Riley has destroyed several of their drug shipments in a short period of time. During her journey, Riley meets a young boy and gives him the toy she previously took from Stephen's house. After seeing the boy's father in a drunken state, Riley secretly follows him to a store. There, she draws a pistol on him and forces him to stop drinking and start taking responsibility as a father. Riley also warns the store owner not to sell alcohol to him anymore. After that, she takes the man's car, giving him a sum of money in exchange. Next, Riley hunts down Marvin, one of Garcia's henchmen involved in the cartel's money laundering operation through a piñata store. Disguising herself as a poor woman, Riley manages to approach the location. To get inside, she kills the guards outside. However, once inside, gang members recognize her as the woman who is currently a fugitive and immediately open fire. Riley then eliminates the gang members one by one before finally managing to capture Marvin. She interrogates him to obtain information regarding Garcia's operations. After getting what she wants, Riley sets fire to the store, along with the laundered money inside. Marvin then contacts Garcia and tells him what happened. Garcia is furious because he believes Marvin has leaked vital information to Riley. Meanwhile, Riley's actions become headline news and spark various speculations on social media. Lisa and Carmichael then investigate the burned piñata store. However, Carmichael still doubts that Riley is capable of executing such a complex plan all by herself. Because of this, he plans to contact the narcotics division to obtain further information regarding Garcia's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Lisa begins to grow curious about Riley's hiding place and how the woman could disappear without leaving a single trace. On the other hand, Garcia kills Marvin because he is convinced the man leaked the location of his laboratory to Riley. After that, Garcia sets a trap to kill Riley. Through the crime analysis unit, Lisa and Carmichael finally find a clue regarding Riley's location. They are shocked to discover that Riley is actually receiving immense support from the public. Lisa then notices an interesting pattern. She realizes that there is one specific area where the crime rate has dropped drastically over the past few months. She suspects that the area is Riley's hiding place and immediately heads there. At the same time, Riley enters a warehouse that turns out to be rigged with tripwires and explosives. Garcia's men are already waiting for her arrival there. As soon as she realizes she is being ambushed, Riley quickly looks for a way out and manages to avoid detection. Shortly after, the bomb explodes, destroying the entire building. Seeing the massive explosion, Garcia's men are certain that Riley is dead. However, moments later, Riley emerges from a sewage tank connected to the area. She immediately steals a car and pursues them. Riley then blocks their vehicle on the road and kills the men. Using one of the trucks belonging to Garcia's men, Riley successfully infiltrates Garcia's headquarters. She moves from one area to another while taking down the guards, blocking her path. Before long, the headquarters turns into a scene of carnage. Finally, Riley manages to reach Garcia, but just as she is about to shoot him, Garcia's daughter appears in front of him. The little girl's presence instantly reminds Riley of her own daughter, Carly, who passed away. That momentary hesitation becomes an opportunity for Garcia. He immediately stabs Riley and flees with his daughter, right as the police begin arriving at the scene. Despite her injuries, Riley also manages to escape. Afterward, Riley goes to Peg's house. She strikes the woman, ties her up, and mocks her ruined domestic life. After taking Peg's car, Riley quickly leaves the location. Meanwhile, Lisa contacts Carmichael and points out the vehicle used by Riley. She begins to believe that Riley could actually be their ally in bringing down Garcia's organization. Because of this, Lisa wants to capture Riley alive so they can obtain information about Garcia and his drug suppliers. However, the further her investigation goes, the more Lisa begins to suspect that someone from the police force is continuously leaking information about Riley. That suspicion turns out to be correct. Carmichael then shoots Lisa, revealing that he has been Garcia's informant all along. Before the incident, Carmichael had given information regarding Riley's location to Garcia and prompted him to hunt the woman down in the Skid Row area with his men. Shortly after, Riley comes face to face with Cortez. A fierce fight ensues until Riley finally manages to kill Cortez along with the armed men with him. Afterward, Riley discovers Lisa's body. She then broadcasts the evidence Lisa had successfully gathered directly to the public, exposing Carmichael as a corrupt cop who has been working for Garcia all this time. Riley also invites the police and the media to the location so that the entire truth can be brought to light. Through a communication radio, Garcia then contacts Riley and orders her to surrender if she does not want to face worse consequences. Riley bravely goes to meet him. While Garcia beats her mercilessly, Riley secretly reaches for a pistol that had fallen on the ground. At the same time, the police begin arriving at the location. Seeing the situation growing increasingly chaotic, Garcia kills Carmichael, thinking the man had betrayed him to the police. Garcia then tries to flee, but Riley immediately gives chase. After successfully bringing him down, Riley prepares to end the life of the man who destroyed her family. However, Moises arrives and tries to stop her. He begs Riley to let the law punish Garcia and promises that this time the man will not escape. Unfortunately, Riley no longer believes in the legal system. Therefore, she chooses to keep her own promise and shoots Garcia in the face, killing him. The police officers at the scene immediately unleash a volley of gunfire toward Riley, but Moises quickly orders them to cease firing. The next morning, Moises finds Riley severely wounded at her family's gravesite. Even though Riley begs to be left to die, Moises still takes her to the hospital to receive treatment. Meanwhile, the chief of police appears on the news, stating that Riley North must still answer for all her actions before the law. Sometime later, Moises visits Riley, who is still being treated under police guard. He reveals that many people, including several members of the police force, secretly support the actions Riley took. As a sign of his support, Moises discreetly leaves the key to Riley's handcuffs behind before walking away without saying a word. He gives Riley the chance to decide her own fate. Shortly after, Riley chooses to unlock her handcuffs, escapes from the hospital, and vanishes into the darkness.